Hey everyone, welcome back to Car Flash, the channel where glossy brochures, polished press photos, and marketing slogans all get tossed aside so we can talk about what really matters when you're behind the wheel. If you're new here, buckle up, because this is the place where every car gets stripped down to its core, its design, its feel, its performance, and whether it actually lives up to the hype. Today, we're diving into one of the wildest blends of practicality and sheer lunacy on the market, to the 2026 Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT. And trust me, this one doesn't just want to be your SUV, it wants to be your sports car, your track toy, and your family hauler, all in one. Exterior: the Cayenne Turbo GT has always been the poster child for why does this even exist? Because on paper it's absurd, a big SUV that weighs well over 2 tons, yet insists it can hang with supercars. For 2026, Porsche has sharpened it further. The front end immediately tells you this is no ordinary Cayenne. The headlights are slimmer, with Porsche's signature 4-point LED running lights giving it that aggressive, watchful stare. The grille is stretched wider and deeper, flanked by massive intakes that aren't just there for show, they feed air to that monster of an engine and help keep everything cool when you're pushing it hard. The hood has muscular lines running down its length, almost sculpted like the face of a 911, but taller and meaner. And down low, the front splitter sits dangerously close to the ground for an SUV, reminding you this thing is meant for speed, not rock crawling. Move to the side and the Cayenne Turbo GT really flexes its stance. It sits lower than a regular Cayenne, thanks to a sport-tuned suspension that hugs the wheels right into the arches. The roofline swoops just enough to give it that coupe SUV silhouette without completely killing rear headroom, and the side skirts flare out, adding width and menace. Huge 22-inch wheels fill the arches, wrapped in performance rubber that looks more at home on a track day than a grocery run. Behind those wheels sit enormous carbon ceramic brakes with brightly painted calipers, because stopping something this heavy at supercar speeds is no small task. The side mirrors are sleek and aerodynamic, with a little carbon fiber trim hinting at just how much lightweight material is sprinkled throughout this beast. Even standing still, from this angle, the Cayenne Turbo GT looks like it's lunging forward. Swing around to the back and it's clear Porsche's design team had zero interest in subtlety. The roofline tapers down into a pronounced rear spoiler that adjusts on the move to add downforce. Below that, the rear bumper is sculpted with sharp lines and a huge diffuser that wouldn't look out of place on a GT3. But the real centerpiece, the titanium exhaust setup are 4 massive oval pipes sitting proudly in the middle, promising that thunderous growl the moment you fire it up. The taillights stretch across the width of the SUV in a clean LED strip, giving it that futuristic but unmistakably Porsche vibe. It's a rear end that says, yes, this is practical, but don't you dare confuse it with just another family car. Interior: inside, Porsche balances luxury with aggression in a way that very few brands can. Slip into the driver's seat and you're greeted by heavily bolstered sport seats wrapped in a mix of leather, Alcantara, and contrast stitching, holding you in place like you're about to hit racetrack, not the school run. The steering wheel is thick, flat-bottomed, and loaded with tactile controls, including the drive mode dial right within thumb's reach. Ahead of you, Porsche's curved digital display gives you all the vital performance info: a boost pressure, G-forces, lap timers alongside the usual stuff like speed and navigation. The center console is clean and modern, dominated by a large, responsive touchscreen that runs Porsche's latest infotainment system, with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a performance telemetry app built in. Carbon fiber trim is scattered across the dash and door panels, reminding you this is a driver's car first and a luxury SUV second. The back seats don't get neglected either. Passengers sit in deeply sculpted chairs that match the sporty feel up front, with plenty of legroom and their own climate controls. Even the cargo space is generous enough to handle a road trip's worth of luggage, though Porsche clearly wants you to think of this as a performance machine before anything else. But let's be real, what makes the Cayenne Turbo GT stand apart is what happens when you hit that start button. Performance under the hood lives: a 4.0-liter twin turbocharged V8, tuned by Porsche's engineers to unleash nearly 670 horsepower and close to 650 pound-feet of torque. That power goes through an 8-speed automatic and Porsche's all-wheel drive system, launching this 2.5-ton SUV from 0 to 60 in about 3.1 seconds. That's not just quick for an SUV, that's quicker than some of Porsche's own sports cars, and it edges dangerously close to supercar numbers. The top speed, a blistering 190 miles per hour, which is flat out insane for something that can carry 5 people in comfort. But it's not just about straight line speed. Porsche has dialed in the suspension with active anti-roll systems, adaptive dampers, and rear axle steering. The result is an SUV that corners like it weighs half as much, diving into bends with shocking precision and refusing to roll around like you'd expect from something this tall. On a winding road, it feels planted, aggressive, and unbelievably confident, reminding you that Porsche is, at its heart, still a racing company. And yes, the soundtrack is pure theater. That titanium exhaust belts out a deep, crackling roar that turns heads every single time you floor it. It's not just noisy, it's a statement. Of course, all of this comes with a price tag. The 2026 Cayenne Turbo GT isn't a budget buy. It starts around $200,000, and with options, because let's face it, no one buys a Porsche without checking a few option boxes. You can easily creep toward $220,000 or more. That puts it in rare company, competing with the Lamborghini Urus, Aston Martin DBX707, and Ferrari Purosangue. But here's the kicker, the Cayenne Turbo GT is arguably the most usable of the bunch. You get Porsche-level reliability, a dealership network that's not as exotic car limited, and an SUV that you can genuinely drive every day without it feeling like a fragile piece of art. So, after spending time with the 2026 Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT, what's the takeaway? It's still absurd, it's still over the top, but it's also still the ultimate answer to the question, what if I want it all? You want a family hauler? Done. You want a luxury interior? Covered. You want to blast down the Autobahn at nearly 200 miles per hour? Then carve up a mountain road like you're in a 911? This is the SUV that will happily do it. It's not cheap, it's not subtle, and it's definitely not necessary, but if you've got the money and the desire to own one of the most ridiculous yet brilliant performance SUVs ever built, Porsche just gave you your answer. Thanks for watching this review here on Car Flash. If you enjoyed diving into the details of the Cayenne Turbo GT and want more real-world takes on the latest cars, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. This is where marketing ends and reality begins. And trust me, there's plenty more on the way. Until next time, drive safe, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.